If recent leaks are to be believed, the test server in Deadlock has had a ton of work on it recently, and it gets me honestly even more excited for the next update coming to the game. Hey everyone, this is Connor here at Dead Unlocked, and like I said, there's been a lot going on in the game's test server recently. I have heard things ranging from like ability overhauls for unreleased heroes to in-game accolades coming to the game, all kinds of new stuff. I want to try to tackle it all in this kind of weekly Deadlock news roundup. Alright, so the first leak I actually want to start with comes from Minesweeper. We've covered a lot of Minesweeper stuff in the past, really kind of reputable Deadlock leaker. According to Minesweeper, Rem's ultimate ability in the test server has been completely overhauled, and I've kind of heard like more anecdotally that this thing is crazy right now. It's going to take a while to balance. We've previously covered what the ultimate was prior and may eventually get reverted back to. That was called Nap Time. Nap Time, you can think of it as basically Rem would float up and then in a big circular area on the map would be able to put enemies to sleep or stun them. Really awesome ability, but that has been changed so far. Because of that, there kind of is some speculation that the January patch is going to be coming towards the end of the month. This is why I wanted to really lead with this, is because there still may be a lot in flux having to do with this update. Also, according to Minesweeper, Graves, another hero that we've leaked some of her abilities, it looks like those are still being worked on. Currently, I think they're still even using Victor's icons, so a lot of the heroes that we have seen so far and talked about so far may be a little bit less complete, or at least less finalized than we maybe previously thought, so that could result in a little bit later of an update. But again, who knows? It's Valve, it's Deadlock, you never know when some of this stuff's going to happen. All of it could get reverted tomorrow, and I could be eating my words, so all of this, very work in progress, very subject to change. And on the subject of heroes in the test server getting changed, I've actually heard, and I've seen this kind of even posted about already, that 3 heroes of the 6 that we believe to be coming in the next update have had their names changed. So, Venator has apparently been renamed to Quinn, Fencer has been renamed to Apollo, and Pepper has been renamed to Celeste. The other heroes that we've talked about previous, Silver, Rem, and Graves, still have their current names. Like I said, I've seen Deadlock Project 8 post about this, and I've talked to some other sources. Apparently this is legitimate, at least as it is currently on the test server, but like I just said with those abilities, all this subject to change, all of this could easily change tomorrow. But yeah, so far, the 6 heroes we actually think we should be getting are going to be named Quinn, Apollo, Celeste, Silver, Rem, and Graves. Very excited to hopefully meet them soon, maybe even closer than the end of the month. These next couple leaks actually have to do with something that I just mentioned in my kind of 10 things I want for Deadlock this year, and these kind of have to do with the in-game cinematics that I was mentioning in that video. So one leak comes from Hezi, and I saw some other leakers post this as well, but basically this is an image of like a loading into the game splash screen as Rem. So this will be a new feature kind of showing you which hero you're maybe loading into the game with. Again, subject change, but the other thing I've heard is a really interesting thing from Deadlock Project 8 that I saw posted, and I saw some others posted as well. But this looks like game code that is sharing future accolades that will show on maybe like a post-game screen having to do with stats that you earn in the game. So I've got a few written down here. We actually covered this on the gamehaus.com as well, if y'all want to check out the article recapping that. But a few here, for example. So I think if let's say you led the lobby in ability kills, the title would be You're a Wizard, Harry. Some other ones, crates or golden idols smashed. Title is Championship Boxer. Soul Denies, the title is None for You. Long Range Kills, title is From Downtown. Soul Orb Secured, title is Social Security. There's a huge list of ones like this that kind of show like the stat associated with the title that you could earn. We really don't know how this is going to play out in the live version yet, or how it's being used in the test server, just that this is being worked on. And this kind of thing does make sense, you know, when you're going to eventually in Deadlock state, you're going to finish a game and you'll have more than just that post-game stat screen. You'll probably have some kind of, like I said, little cinematic moment, kind of like crowning your team the victor, showing KDAs, maybe there'll be an MVP in the future, and maybe you'll be able to get some of these cool titles. So super, super interesting. This is actually one of the things I'm most excited that I'm talking about today, and I'm very interested to see what this looks like when it goes to live. I would love to hear you all's feedback on this one as well. All right, and this last piece of news really brings me a deep pain to have to report on. It's hard to really even talk about this, but Fathom has been archived in the Deadlock official Discord server. I hate to have to say this, and I hate to have to let all the Slork fans know about this, but Fathom, along with several of the other old experimental heroes from the Hero Labs back in the day, if you remember Deadlock from back then when we used to have the Hero Labs heroes like Trapper and Wrecker, those have been moved to an archive channel in the Deadlock Discord server. This one sucks. I really hope these heroes do make it back to the forefront one day, or at least parts of them do. Fathom, or Slork as he's belovedly called, is such a fan favorite hero in Deadlock, even from these early days. I know Valve knows that, and so I'm sure they have some kind of plan for this hero in the future. His kit was honestly really interesting to use and iterate on, so Anyway, this is just one that I wanted to throw in at the end of the video. It may not mean much, but in any case, they did happen. All right, and before we close out the video, I do want to take a second to let you all know that we actually are going to be covering this game a lot more on our website. That is thegamehaus.com. I'm really keen in 2026 to cover this a lot more like a proper live service game. So really, if anything is going on or any leaks we cover, we're going to be covering those on the website. I'm a part of a small team over there, but I'm kind of leading our Deadlock coverage on that site. So definitely tune in, check out the website, let me know what you think of the articles over there. I'm also posting a lot more on X recently, just kind of getting, into the social media flux of covering Deadlock like a proper game, but wanted to make those quick notes before closing out the video. Thank you all though so much for tuning in and for any way you engage with the channel here or on the website. All right, and that is going to do it for the kind of news roundup this week. Knowing me and my luck with uploading videos, as soon as this comes out, some new information is going to break or something. So if it does, I'll absolutely update as soon as I can. I usually try to have news updates like this come out, a little bit more frequently throughout the week, and that is going to be a goal going into the new year. But it is somewhat dependent on us getting news and kind of what's happening with the test server. But all in all, I know this January update means so much to a lot of players, myself included. And so when we're dealing with some of these big changes in the test server that could result in it being pushed back, that's the kind of transparency that I always at least want to be able to provide as best we can. I know Yoshi and developers are going to provide updates as well. They've been really good about that in the past and kind of keeping the community up to date with what to expect about the game's release and all that, at least as best they can. But this is such a kind of like an ever-changing mechanism, the test server is. And so it's a lot of times very hard to pinpoint exactly what the progression pattern is going to be for it. So in any case, though, the REM ability does sound really, really crazy that we talked about. Like I said, anecdotally, I have heard that one is just absolutely crazy, would take a long time to balance. And the sources I've talked to actually don't think that it's going to make it to live. So it just goes to show even more. Like, this is how devs a lot of times do this. A lot of times there's toggling, there's trying different things, and things might get repurposed. That ability might just be on REM to test it for a future hero. We really don't know. But in any case, thank you all so much for tuning in. Definitely let me know what you think of these leaks. The accolades and the splash screen and all the changes really do sound exciting. And there's so much probably coming in this January update that I just am, like I said, I'm always just so stoked about it. And I'm very, very excited for it to go live. But that is going to do it from all of us here at Dead Unlocked. Thank you all so much for tuning in. From our house to yours, we'll see you all next time here at Dead Unlocked. Ridiculous. What do you want? I don't know what to do with you. Are you just gonna sit there while we record? Yeah, alright. Great. Deadlock. Let's see. It's kind of funny though. Alright, Atlas. Let's report on some news.